85% of women have problem with their periods, their hormones. I happen to be one of them. I'm a PhD level scientist. I have a degree in pharmacology. And the reason I'm so passionate about this is I had 7 miscarriages just to find out it was due to a hormone imbalance called low progesterone. Now at 44, I'm seeing the same symptoms through perimenopause that are due to the same imbalance of my hormones. So I invented a new way to measure hormones in urine, which are now FDA cleared. And I wanted to found a company that really filled the gap and gave women information about their hormones so they can advocate and have an active seat at the table with their health. So Prove is a platform that provides at-home testing. We go from fertility to menopause. We're going to talk about menopause today in our new Empower test. 3 out of 4 women get turned away from the doctor when they come in with symptoms. Either they're not given testing, everything's normal, but they're not given a good solution on how to manage, what they think might be perimenopause or hormone imbalance. And that's because the current ways to track hormones in menopause are inaccurate because they only measure a single point in time. So we built a better menopause test. So how does it work? So first thing you do is you purchase a kit on Amazon or a website. You download the free app. The app will onboard you, ask you your age, your symptoms, any cycle changes, cycle length, if you have a cycle, all that fun stuff. Personalize your protocol, and then you'll be asked to test 4 different times during your cycle. You'll collect first morning urine, dip a strip, wait 10 minutes, upload it to the app by taking a picture. We will then analyze your exact hormone concentrations, give you a friendly report. Then the good part, or the most essential part, is we give you personalized symptom management. So it's not about if it is menopause or perimenopause, but how do you manage your symptoms? So we are the only full cycle menopause test. Other tests measure a single point in time, which doesn't give you this crazy pattern of hormones. So we measure all 4 of your hormones, FSH, LH, estrogen, and progesterone, 4 different times during your cycle to get when they're naturally high or low to see how your body and your hormones are fluctuating. And so by doing that, we can do 2 main things. The first one is we give you your menopause stage. This is, this is based off of your FSH hormone levels, your cycle changes, your age, your symptoms. So similar to what a doctor would do, and it tells you where you are on that spectrum of the menopause transition. Like Ben said, takes about 10 to 12 years. But the other cool thing is we take and we tell you what your hormones are, if they're optimal or not, and how they correlate with your symptoms. And this is what is going to give you that personalized symptom relief. And so with that information, we give personalized solutions, whether that's connecting with medical providers to get prescriptions or natural holistic solutions that are not prescriptions like supplements or lifestyle changes. And so what we want to do with Empower is we launched our MVP in July on Prime Day, and we have gotten so much consumer feedback that we are launching an user optimized product by January 1st. And we really want to increase the solution base for our users. We are really, really good at understanding hormones, but we want to provide a holistic solution base by partnering with other people on the lifestyle, supplement, product, and medical support side of it. So lifestyle, we can do coaching like the Pause, who you'll hear from pretty soon, tracking like Oura Ring or Apple Watch, and mental health like products like Prickly Pear. Products, supplement, all the, the Versalie supplement, the beauty products, the dietary bars, whatever, medical support. So hormone therapy, weight loss, mammograms, anything you name it. We want to be a hub for women's health and provide support across their midlife. So the use of funds is going to help us expand distribution. So our fertility has a lot of distribution, but our menopause is just our website and Amazon right now. Collect more data so that we can be better predictive for women and get better personalized solutions. Find partners to partner with so that we can increase our offerings and increase education and awareness, because a lot of women know that they're just not themselves and they're feeling off, but they don't know what it is yet. And so we want to help educate about their hormones, about the process, and bring them solutions that are going to work the first time. That's it. Thank you.
Amy, thank you so much, and congrats on making it to the finalist stage. Now we'd like to open it up to some questions from the judges. And what I was going to do is just kind of go through and ask each judge if they have a question. If they don't, you can pass to the next. But Ben, any questions from you about this presentation?
Perfect. Great job, Amy. Good to see you. A quick question on B2B as a route to market in the future. I know you're fully focused on consumers at this point. Have you had a positive reception from HCPs broadly? Are you looking at employer partnerships at some point? Can you talk a little bit about aspirations there?
Yes, so the medical providers has been a really tough challenge, to be honest, because the Menopause Society guidelines are evidence-based research, and there's no evidence-based hormone tests out there because they're all doing that one point in time tracking, which is absolutely not helpful. And so it's really showing them this is a different way to track hormones and to track hormone health. And it's really about building more data set and more proof points to show that we are able to manage women. The other opposition we hear is, well, we know it's perimenopause. She comes in here, she's 45. I'm like, well, you might know with your medical education, but women don't know. They need some tool that they can do at home. You know, women want to track. They want to know part of their future. They just want to have that ownership in their health journey. And so, you know, kind of marrying the two, consumer, healthcare provider together, is our ultimate goal. It's just going to take more education. Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. Kristen, a question from you?
Yeah, hi Amy. Thanks for the great presentation and congrats on the launch this year. I'm curious what initial sort of insights you've discovered around the usage of the test and the app over time since being in market in July, and how are you sort of responding to those insights and feedback?
Yes, women really don't know anything about their hormones. It's a very, very blank space that we need to fill. And so we had some assumptions that maybe they had some knowledge. Now we have to backtrack and really, you know, feed it to them, you know, bit by bit, because there's such a lack of education. The other thing is women are pretty young. We thought we would get the consumer at 45, 47. We're getting 38, 39 that are just not feeling themselves. They're feeling off. They want answers. We're seeing a lot of women that have hormone imbalances that may or may not be because of perimenopause in their late 30s. We're trying to help, you know, bridge that gap with, like, everyone should feel good, whether it's menopause or perimenopause or not. So those are the major things we're changing. I should say improving.
Brian, could I ask you if you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, that was an awesome presentation. One question I had is you mentioned personalization a little bit and how you guys see in your strategy tying in other personal, whether it's goals, data, to some of the algorithms that you mentioned, the data that you're looking to use from a scientific perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So another thing the National Menopause Society says is supplements don't work. I don't agree with that statement. I think a lot of supplements are, I've heard of called fairy dusting, or, you know, put it all in the bag, where it's just a hodgepodge of stuff that affects hormones. They put it in a capsule. And really, there's there's supplements that help increase progesterone levels or help increase estrogen or decrease estrogen. And they're most effective when you pair them with the right hormone profile. So if you take hormones and symptoms and you put them together, you can say, you know what, this woman is in early perimenopause. She doesn't have progesterone, but she still has enough estrogen. So let's just support her progesterone production. And then, you know, she'll test again in 6 months, you know, 3 months, whatever. We'll see if that hormone's changed so that she can manage her symptoms. And so instead of taking a very generalized approach of like, okay, here's your HT, it's like, no, let's see what that woman needs right now. Let's follow her through the journey and change solutions so she can get the right solution at the right time.
It's awesome. Thank you.
And we have time for one more question. I was going to hand it to Sean next. Do you have a question?
Yeah, hi, Amy. Thanks for the presentation. That was wonderful. So I was wondering, what is your team structure set up like right now? How are you guys set to sort of, or qualified to execute this vision? How do you plan to fill the gaps? Where are you sort of set up from like a team structure right now? And then how are you thinking about the consumer in this, like acquiring them, going after them and stuff with the team that you have?
Yeah, so our team is currently 12 people, 4 which engineers. We just onboarded our engineering team about a year and a half ago. We were outsourcing before. And so being able to have everything in-source has been a huge blessing to be able to process the data and refine the algorithms much more effectively, having that in-house. We have amazing customer support, supply chain, marketing. We are always a direct-to-consumer company because fertility and menopause care is typically not covered, especially the hormone testing part. And so really to make the most impact, we do direct-to-consumer. So we're on Amazon, Google, Facebook, all those platforms.
Amy, thank you so much. Amazing overview, and congrats on all your success to date, and congrats for making it to a finalist. We do have to move on though, to our next finalist. And I'd like to welcome the team behind TAG. Kat Rohr, who is the co-founder and CTO. Alicia Mergenthaler, who is the co-founder and COO. And Renee Worth, co-founder and CEO. Welcome to you all. And please, the floor is yours.
Like so many founders, we created TAG due to pain points that we've seen in our own lives. We couldn't help but notice a pattern. Women in our lives had certain symptoms, frequent headaches, hot flashes, daily pain, and they would go to the doctor for help. These symptoms were either shrugged away or they were discredited because there weren't really any good measurement tools or research to help them to understand what to do with those symptoms. So we created TAG to give a voice to these silent symptoms. And we are a team uniquely poised to tackle this. I'm Renee, I'm the research and analytics lead. I have a background in research across academia and tech.
And hey, I'm Kat, I'm CTO of TAG, and I've been building data-centric tech products for over a decade now.
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia and I'm on the business side, and my background is in data science and venture.
So when exploring what specific problem to tackle, menopause actually quickly rose to the top as an area of huge unmet needs, not surprising to anyone here. It's not only extremely expensive, with medical costs being at over $25 billion, not even accounting for the cost from reduced productivity at work, but it's also extremely common, affecting almost all women at some point. And most of these women suffer. 85% report debilitating symptoms, and 70% of them never seek any treatment. And even amongst the minority that do seek treatment, 70% do not feel they receive adequate care. So clearly we see that these women are not being supported. They're left to try their best to help themselves. So here we're going to look at the experience of 3 women. Anke has joint pain throughout the day. She just wants to understand the timing of that pain so she can plan her pain management accordingly. Nara has night sweats. She wants a non-disruptive way to log when they happen so she can go to her doctor armed with data. And Monica has hot flashes. She suspects her alcohol consumption and the timing of that might be the trigger, but being able to track that could enable her to tweak her habits.
So the current market is filled with apps and wearables which still aren't allowing women to accurately track their symptoms and triggers. Tracking either requires too much disruption from your day. For example, you're not going to want to pull out an app to track a headache if your hands are full or if you're in the middle of a meeting. Wearables usually have a price point that locks out the majority of women from accessing this kind of data. And finally, the competition is overwhelming and often requires the user to be both a tech wizard and have a medical background in order to decipher the information that's being surfaced. We have made a commitment to remove all of these barriers to entry and make TAG affordable, customizable, disruption-free, and most importantly, simple. And now I have the fun job of introducing TAG. Okay, so our vision is to build a platform that allows women to track and take control of their health data and symptoms, to opt into studies and contribute to research, to follow science-backed pathways to manage and eliminate symptoms, and finally, to access relevant research, resources, and community in a super simple and digestible way. What is it we're building so far? So we've been working recently on our prototype, on our MVP, which involves a very simple and configurable bracelet that allows the wearable to track any symptoms and triggers with just the touch of a button. There is a companion app that allows the user to configure the triggers and symptoms they're tracking, and then they're able to see these personalized insights. We're also looking at integrating with existing wearables in order to provide even more health data into the insights. And what you're seeing here is the initial MVP plan that we've been working on, as well as some of the additional functionality that we'll be rolling out over the next few months. The things in bold are where we've started.
So if we go back to Monica, who we met at the start of this, Monica is running a meeting and all of a sudden she's experiencing a hot flash. Discreetly, without any interruption for the meeting, she's able to just press the button to track the symptom and then just continue on with her day. Later that day, she opens the Tag app and she's able to see trends of her hot flashes over the last few weeks. And I'll hand over to Alicia.
Thanks, Kat. So we see a great market opportunity here. As we all know, there's a huge underserved market. We see a SOM of 10 million users in the US and the EU with access to health tracking who are women in menopause who are interested in tracking their health symptoms. We see a hybrid go-to-market strategy as a possibility here. So direct-to-consumer launch with partnerships with health apps and wearable companies, but also collaborating with health-focused influencers, menopause advocacy groups, and also menopause health platforms and companies like Versalie. We have an ambitious scaling strategy, so we'd love to expand into global markets, eventually with healthcare partnerships, such as clinics, OBGYN networks, employer-based benefits to sort of increase our reach and adoption. One of our missions is to keep this as affordable and accessible as possible. This is also one of our differentiators. So we're looking at a subscription or one-time purchase model that allows us to capture the price-sensitive market. You can see a couple of assumptions below as a starting point. So you might be wondering how we would spend the money if we were to get some initial funding. Priorities for us are to build out our validation studies. So we've done a little bit of customer research now, but with some additional capital, we'd really be able to expand those efforts. And the other priority for us is to expand our hardware development. So just to recap, Tag is the low-cost, one-touch personalized health solution. And if we think back to these women, they're able to solve their problems through Tag. So Anke is able to capture her joint pain and target her medication accordingly so she can feel better during the day. We see Nara, who's armed with the precise data on the frequency and timing of her night sweats, so she's able to have a more useful and productive conversation with her doctor. And then finally, Monica is able to time and cut out or control her alcohol intake to adjust for her hot flashes and feel better in that sense as well. So we envision Tag as being a great solution for all sorts of use cases like these. And we'd be very excited to have your assistance in making this a reality. So we'll say thank you. Very honored to be here, and let's open it up to Q&A.
Thank you so much for a fantastic overview. Really, really great showcase. So we are going to open it up to the questions from our judges, and I will start this time with Russ because you didn't get to ask last time. So Russ, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you. That was a wonderful presentation. Just a little bit, a couple questions on the actual device itself. Like when the Tag, what is the underlying like technology inside that? And when you push that to track something, how does it know what symptom it is? It seems like it's a nice way to passively track something, but what other feedback is needed from the user?
Nice, and I can try and answer this one. So thank you for the question. At the moment, we're using a third-party device. It's like a big button that we can clip onto clothes. Our goal eventually is to have this more customizable Bluetooth button. We're looking at a variety of existing solutions as well as potentially manufacturing our own. The app itself is going to allow you, or does allow you, to customize. So at the moment, we have 3 inputs. You can either press once, twice, or hold the button down, which allows you to have 3 different things that you're tracking. And you can say whether that's a trigger or a symptom. And so this fundamentally should be able to work on its own. But if you have something like an Aura, an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, we can also add that more holistic view of everything else that's going on alongside that as well. And that should provide more insightful, personalized information.
Thank you. Jill, any questions from you?
Yeah, I was wondering, I think, we've long asked patients to journal or track things, but nobody is very good at keeping that piece of paper along with them. So I certainly appreciate the problem you're trying to solve here. I was wondering what the output would be as far as like a generated report that someone could bring to the visit, or how that would foster communication with the healthcare team.
I can take this one. Sorry. Right now, this is something that we're looking to build out as we can scale so that we have more and more data, and eventually want it to be like a more comprehensive thing that includes a lot of our proprietary research as well. So that's something we're working towards. Right now, it is very much like, I think in our visual, there's like a timeline in which we're able to show kind of just the bare bones tracking of the information. We want to develop it to have like more insights and AI linked onto that. But right now it is like the comment or like the barrier to entry is quite low. Like you said, most of the time it is people just like coming in with like scribbled notes that they're like trying to decipher, especially for things like night sweats where they're like trying to like take screenshots with people we've talked about. And they're just like, we have these screenshots and that shows when it happened. And it's like, we're just trying to move in a direction where we can start off by just having it show up as data, because data is so powerful to bring to the doctor.
And so I was going to ask, start at the top of the judges sort of list, going back to Ben, but if other judges have a question, a burning question, please raise your hand and we can get you out there. But Ben, do you have any questions for the team?
I do. I have a quick one. Great presentation, super interesting innovation. Love the concept behind it. Do you have plans to push into behavior change? So you have tracking at this point, giving really good insight to what's going on based on those tracking points. Do you hope to bring in behavior change? Are you going to do that yourself? Do you want to do connections to other platforms to do it? Bit of a loaded question, but what's your plan of the what's next that comes after a consumer gets their input?
I could take that one also, because it's more on the research side. Yeah, I mean, that would be absolutely the direction we'd want to go. It's like we're trying to, like I said, move and achieve the lowest hanging fruit first and move along and eventually hope to move to the place where like not only are we uncovering insights and hopefully linking that up with some of the good research, but as we're building that research, which I think everyone here knows, there is just a paucity of good research on menopause. And once we're able to like bring in more people into the fold, get more of that research, then we're going to actually have like that scientifically backed like behavioral change kind of like journey we can take people on that isn't like, just based on assumptions. It's based on the fact that we've actually been able to see evidence of this actually working and giving them tangible solutions. Because yeah, right now, I know the last time they're like, sometimes they just say take supplements. There's just like a lot of misinformation, sometimes good information, but not well supported. So we're trying to hopefully bridge that gap as we kind of move along.
Kristen, any questions you might have?
Hi, team. Yeah, just a quick question for me. I know I thought that the initial focus of like partnering with other health apps like Aura and Apple Watch was really smart and a really great way to validate your ideas with real users. Just curious if there are any like known limitations with like third-party hardware that you anticipate might affect the user experience or the accuracy of the data that you're collecting.
Is that in terms of the device that we'll be building or with the actual integrations with the other devices?
The integration with the other devices to help you get quicker into the market. Yeah.
I think the goal 100% would be to partner with them as quick as possible. I think the biggest thing we really want to just reiterate is we do not want people to have to spend $400 plus to actually have these sorts of insights. So for us, it's super important that as a standalone offering, the tag bracelet can provide enough insights to actually be worthwhile on its own. So I think our main priority will be for that comprehensive kind of viewpoint. But yeah, working with these partners, we're very fortunate to be in a world where a lot of, from the technical point of view, a lot of these other offerings have really great APIs that we can just hone in on and use. They've already got a lot, like Aura, for example, has a lot, and Apple have a lot of good stuff out there just to sort of iterate and work with them. So we're not seeing that as too much of a barrier to entry because there's a lot of good documentation. Like we've got a lot of good engineering power that we can actually utilize here. So yeah, I think it's going to complement it quite well.
Yeah, I just want to add on to what Kat said. I think that we're all three of us are technical and we've explored some of the API integrations already. So I think that's one of the strengths of our team and we're excited to see where it goes. That's a great question.
So tag team, thank you so much for a fantastic showcase overview of your offering. And it's time for us to move on to our third finalist. Our final pitch of the day. Please welcome Susan Sly, who is the CEO and founder of the Pause Technology, and Mia Chorney, who is the CEO and founder of also the Pause Technology. Welcome.
Thank you, everybody. It's an absolute honor and a privilege to be with you all today. I'm Dr. Mia Chorney. I'm the co-founder and CMO of the Pause. I'm going to take us on to our next slide. We've had some great discussions today. And one of the things I really want to highlight is we know globally women are 51% of the world's population. And with everything that we've learned today, we know that 1 in 2 women are suffering. So with these statistics, moving on to the next slide, we know we are in a massive menopause crisis. I want to highlight 3 really important things. Number 1 is access. We know today that 6,000 women are entering menopause daily within the United States. And this is pushing our provider to patient ratio to 1 provider to every 30,000 patients. The second problem is treatment. Only 19% of patients receive a diagnosis. And finally, the third problem is cost. We spoke about that. $26.6 billion in healthcare costs are hitting us daily. I want you to know, I see these patients every single day. The stories are profound, the stories are dramatic. So I'm going to pass it along on to the CEO, the founder, and the second-time AI founder, Susan Sly.
Thank you so much, Mia. And I want to acknowledge, first and foremost, the Versalie team, the HITLAB team, for bringing innovative technology together, because the way we envision the pause is accessible, individualized menopause support, and a technology that can collaborate with CPG. It can collaborate with the other technologies you've seen today. And I also want to acknowledge our tech team, who most of them are here today. Love you guys. Thank you for building impactful technology. So how do we use technology to help women, your mother, your sister, your partner, your best friend, your colleague? Menopause is the only condition that will inevitably impact every single woman. And so we have built a platform that has already launched, and we are already scaling it. And it integrates into wearables. It has a personalized AI coach. We are creating meaningful behavior change, and we have gamified engagement. And I would like to turn it over to our proprietary AI, Harmony, to give you a tour of the platform.
Hi. I am Harmony, your menopause companion. I would like to take you on a tour of our platform and share some of the features that our team is creating to help the millions of women in perimenopause and menopause successfully navigate these key stages of life. As an AI assistant, I become better as users engage with our platform. We have created a fun, educational, and motivating experience and continue to deliver more features. As we prepare to share this platform, and me, with the world, I would like to highlight some of the first features. When you onboard, you will create an avatar to maintain your privacy. After answering a few questions, I will be able to tell you what stage of menopause you are in. When you connect your Garmin, Fitbit, Apple Watch, or Oura Ring, I will be able to help you receive precision recommendations. I will gamify your experience and encourage you to earn badges for doing the things that help you successfully navigate menopause. I am excited to work with you. Remember, the pause is not just a platform, it is a community.
So we're already making an impact, and we are receiving gratitude messages. This is one of our subscribers, Brooke, and Brooke went into surgical menopause as a very young woman, now in her 50s. She is using the app to motivate her, to get dietary suggestions. Even when she doesn't feel like working out or is having a hard time sleeping, she has our app to be able to help her navigate that. We already have 5-star reviews, and again, we are so grateful, because when we started this company, the vision was, how would we make an impact? And being an MIT grad, the focus we have at MIT is to be a data-driven, customer-centric company, and that's exactly what we are. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Mia, and should we be fortunate enough to win, this is what we plan to do with our proceeds.
All right, I'm going to take it away. So we talked about impact. We all know when we have impact, we've got to do research. We know from the SWAN studies and many studies that Black women have prolonged periods of menopause as well as symptoms. So the research question we want to tackle is for Black women in perimenopause or menopause in North America, with the pause engagement improved sense of management or control as measured by the visual analog over 3 months. We are very well prepared for research and innovation. Take a look at our robust medical advisory board. We have Dr. Lisa Larkin, past president of the Menopause Society, Jennifer Burke, Team USA doctor, specialist in longevity medicine, Paul Arciero, he's been published over 100 times in peer-reviewed journals, and Dr. Mitzi Krockover, she is well known from the UCLA Women's Health Center, the Black Initiative, and Beyond the Paper Gown. So I'm going to continue on, and I want to pass it off back to Susan, and I want you to know she knows how to scale AI. She was nominated as one of the top women to watch out for globally in artificial intelligence.
Thanks, Mia. And without going into the big picture of the TAMSAM SOM, our focus is on the women ages 40 to 60 who have wearables with a goal of a 5% capture domestically. We already are in the US and Canada. We will be expanding to Australia, UK. So that's 14.7 million lives changed. And our revenue model, 3-day trial, enhanced, premium, and where are we going as a company? We are starting here with our MMP. We're getting user feedback, which is fantastic. And then we are expanding. So our executive sponsors come from Hewlett-Packard and also Microsoft, and we are going into benefits. And we've already started those conversations to be able to offer our app and our platform to large companies through our partners. And we are in partnership with Ms. Medicine, helmed by Dr. Lisa Larkin, for concierge medicine. So we have a very exciting roadmap ahead. We are already funded. One of the questions was about scalability. So we've already raised 1.1 million in pre-seed funding. And as I said, we already are at revenue. And it would just be an honor and privilege to get to collaborate with everyone. We're very excited to do research, to make an impact. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Great presentation. Really impressive work that's been done. I'd now like to open it up to our judges to ask questions. And if anyone has a burning question, please feel free to put the little hand up. But if not, I'll call on Sean. Any questions that you might have?
Thank you. Very, very interesting presentation. I'd love to understand the challenges you guys have faced today, like where you stand sort of in your current position and what you have done to sort of solve them and the plan to move forward through them.
I love that question, Sean, because it's all about challenge-driven leadership. So we started with a hypothesis, and it was one that was born of, just to circle back a little bit, previously I had helped under my tenure scale a computer vision AI company at the edge. So that is my background. And while I was traveling for that company, a lot of the conversations my girlfriends at these big tech companies were having were like, oh my gosh, like, you know, Amy talked about it. Amy and I are friends, and good luck, Amy, too. You know, I'm having hot flashes, I'm not sleeping. And they're like, can you solve this with AI? And I couldn't stop thinking about it. So we had a hypothesis based on the research, Sean, that women were feeling very unsupported. And Amy talked about that. The TAG team talked about that. And Ben did a beautiful job talking about that. I took 2 pages of notes, Ben. And if we could give them 24/7 support, and then we could give them access to resources, but not being, Sean, the company that created the supplements or created the tests, but to be able to provide validated CPG tools and resources to them. So one of the biggest challenges that we have faced is, to be very candid, since we've launched, we have a dearth of data. So we have the wearable data, we have the mobile data, we have the user experience self-reporting data. And so now we're working with HPE and deciding, how do we tag this data, what's meaningful. And then Dr. Liss will understand this is, we can do so much with research. Where do we start? And even the honor of preparing Sean for this challenge, as a mixed race woman, one of the things that was on my heart is menopause is under research, period, but menopause research for women of color, different cultural backgrounds, it's almost non-existent. So that's been a challenge for us to really figure out, and we don't have all the answers. One thing we do have is an amazing tech team and amazing tech partners for scale. So we don't have to worry about that part. We can just focus on helping and serving.
Thank you. Brian, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you. And great presentation. I had a question about data and trust. I think you guys had talked a little bit about data and trust and sort of increasing levels of trust. How have you guys started already opening up with that transparency to people of how their data is being used, and how has that gone and informed kind of where you guys want to take it from here?
That's a great question. So we just launched on World Menopause Day, Brian, on October 18th. And so like any company, fortunately, not being a first-time founder, we have a really strong EULA. We decided to launch in iOS first because Apple is wonderful at allowing people to erase their data and so forth. As we go into research, it's very easy for us from a UI perspective to allow that person to opt into research if she chooses to. From I feel so incredibly grateful and nerdy, but HPE, along with NVIDIA last June, Antonio Neri and Jensen Huang on stage in Las Vegas announced the new PCAI, Private Cloud for AI initiative, and we are partnered with them. So this is a HIPAA compliant, GDPR compliant AI cloud, and we work with them closely on a daily basis as we're building out our infrastructure. Our CTO, Madison Susi, is here today, and this project is we're starting with the end in mind because we intend to go global, as I said. So, and coming from computer vision, where we had terabytes and terabytes of data every single day, I have a strong background in data compliance, and every state has different compliance rules. So unfortunately, to my husband's chagrin, I probably wake up thinking about this first thing in the morning and last thing at night. So
That's awesome. Thank you.
Jill, any questions from your corner?
Yeah, some of it was around data, but also curious, like as far as how you're utilizing the medical advisors, are they writing the algorithms that are then feeding the answers? Like, I'm just curious, the boundary of staying evidence-based, not providing healthcare recommendations super directly while also providing that value, and how you navigate that balance.
Yeah, Mia, I'll pass that one to you since Mia helms the medical advisory board.
Thanks, Dr. Liss. Great question. So that you're absolutely right. We must have a board of medical advisors in order to have a really robust and safe application. So we are a lifestyle application at this time, but the board of medical advisors is actively involved through the whole, from beginning to Dr. Lisa Larkin. They've all been with us since the very beginning. So all of the recommendations that do come through are evidence-based recommendations that have been vetted, and we've all trialed and gone through them all. We're continually revising, testing, those sort of things as we're moving along, but great question. We are not prescribing. We've made that very clear boundary, and that's why we would bring in a telehealth partner, concierge service, those sort of opportunities.
And
thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, sorry. Go ahead.
Thanks, Amy. If I may, so in our roadmap and as part of the concierge medicine, our subscribers will be able to essentially do a swipe right aggregate. So when that pause client comes to see you, you will have one page of her. So you're not saying, are you working out, or how is your sleep? You will have a one pager of all of her, biometrics that we're gathering if she chooses to share that. So that part we're very, very excited about, because our goal is to help make the lives easier of the people who are caring for these women. And also we know that lifestyle changes can dramatically reduce symptomology. I'm 52 years old. I've been in menopause, perimenopause since I was 38, have 4 kids. And to the lifestyle changes, that's where we want to live, that sweet spot, and to be able to work with the providers.
Thank you. And one final question. Russ, could I call on you?
Yeah, of course. As far as your, again, like evidence, I think, randomized controlled trials in these areas are very difficult because it's just so longitudinal. And so I think, this gamification and tracking people over time, like, do you guys have observational kind of health studies planned? Like as far as you were saying, like a researcher can opt in. So have you guys published any work around this? Do you guys have evidence that's publicly available yet?
No, we have not, but you see from our research question, we know that what we want to do is prove that the application, when the user is using it, the engagement is improving that sense of control, that user experience. And I do want to highlight your exact question about gamification. So I'm from cardiology, cardiovascular genetics. I'm specialized in women's cardiology, and I am menopause certified. And in ACC Journal this year in 2024, gamification was proven to improve outcomes on patients who engaged in that with trying to improve their cardiovascular health. So we're using those studies to help guide, a lot of what we're doing. We know it works and that it really does a positive effect for our clients and patients.
So thank you all from the pause. Great presentation. This concludes our showcase of the finalists. I'd like to ask the judges to please move to your team's site to deliberate. And at this time, we will also be having our Audience Choice Award, where everyone in our audience will get to vote. And we're going to have a poll that's coming to the forefront there on the screen. You'll see it. Similar to the judges that we had earlier, we want to use the same criteria to judge. It is the impact. What impact will this innovation have in the market? Differentiation, is it different from other offerings that are out in the market? Scalability, does the company meet the criteria to be able to grow and expand beyond where they are? Technical feasibility, do they have a product market fit and adequate resources for standing up the product in the market? The economic viability, do they have a clear business case? And teams, do they have the harmony within their team to really drive the business forward, and the quality of work, from the pitch presentation and is the value proposition clear? But please use those 7 criteria to make your evaluations. While we are deliberating, while the judges are off deliberating and we are calculating the poll inputs, we're now going to have a fireside chat with Joe Cody, who is founder and CEO of Grain Fertility, as well as the Associate Director of Health IT and Digital Health Policy at the American College of Cardiology. And I'm really excited to be talking with Joe about the topics of fertility, and it's sort of the continuum into the menopause space. Joe is an IVF dad who has worked on healthcare policy and advocacy since 2008. He's the founder of Grain Fertility and an active volunteer leader with Resolve, the National Infertility Association. He also serves as the Associate Director of Health IT and Digital Health for the American College of Cardiology. He lives outside Washington, D.C. with his amazingly supportive wife, their 4.5-year-old daughter, and their rescue dog. So, Joe, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure to talk with you here today. And I know we've got some really compelling topics based on our topic of menopause today. But let's talk a little bit about fertility and menopause and that transition. They're often viewed as separate phases of a woman's life, but there's actually a lot of overlap. So from your perspective, how do you see the relationship between fertility and menopause evolving, especially for women who are transitioning through perimenopause, but may also still be trying to conceive?
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate that question, and congratulations to all of the people who are in the challenge. I think there's some fantastic innovations coming in this space, and I think it really fits into a lot of the things that are happening in both the fertility and menopause space. These are both areas that have been chronically underfunded, they're understudied, so we don't really have a lot of good data to show, outcomes and these other things over time. And I think this is an issue that is incredibly important to the fertility community, especially considering multiple diagnoses that people will have that could be contributors to infertility. My wife is a good example of this with the diagnosis of diminished ovarian reserve. She was perimenopausal in her early 30s, and that eventually led to our diagnosis and our IVF journey. So there's a lot of overlap between these patients. And, I think it's really exciting to be able to see how, all of this can kind of come together and how care and management can evolve in this. As we look at the patient population, people are waiting longer to have children. There's been a 132% increase in women in the age 40 to 44, having children since 1990. And so these are women that are going to be in this perimenopausal space, yet they're still having these goals of being able to grow and achieve a family. So this gray area really starts to emerge. And then I think you also have this kind of generational change that's taking place as well. And as Dr. Beckley noted earlier, you see this increase in the desire for ownership, having data. People really do want to track all of this stuff, and they want to understand what their health means, how they can make more informed decisions, be involved in that communication with their process. And so I think these challenge companies really showed that, collecting this data, being able to have a better understanding is incredibly important about that. And then all this leads to a better understanding of how there could be a tie-in between the two. As I mentioned, kind of some of the diagnoses that happen in this space, but there's also increasingly the need to be able to manage both at the same time. Individuals who are perimenopausal are going to have multiple symptoms that, are going to be either exacerbated or contribute to some of the complications and symptoms that people have as they go through fertility treatment. So what this really actually leads to is the need and desire to have more specific care that's directed towards that individual, and also having longitudinal care that goes beyond these separate sites of service, where you have a reproductive endocrinologist only managing some components of a woman's health, while her OBGYN or endocrinologist or other specialists are managing other. We really do need to have this ecosystem that treats a more holistic approach to women's health if we want to try to deliver better outcomes that are better for each individual.
Yeah, and you mentioned data, and you mentioned this more sort of customized, personalized intervention or solution. Can you talk about those things together? Like, how is the data that we're able to collect as it relates to menopause and fertility challenges, and tying that into personalized medicine? How can we leverage that data to support the more personalized understanding, innovations, and solutions as we are thinking about these life transitions between, childbearing years to, the fertility challenges and perimenopause and menopause? Do you have any thoughts on like the tools that are collecting the data, how we can better use them, and how the information that's being captured can be better used to serve the individual needs of the women and the families who need it?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of advancements that help in this area as technology has evolved. One is new techniques and technologies that allow for more precise individual measuring of hormone levels that can be tracked both individual points of time or longitudinally. So you can really start to identify trends in a women's health, to be able to say, okay, what this could be a contributor, what are ways to manage those symptoms, what's the appropriate course of treatment that's prescribed to that individual, as opposed to kind of a population level approach to this. And, it's often said, we can't change what we don't measure. So over time, as we try to measure this stuff, and have more access to information, I think that will only help. But I think we're also starting to see, the ability to tie this into other areas that's perimenopause and menopause impacts in women's health. And, there's growing evidence about the increased risk of other diseases. So heart disease, diabetes, stroke, osteoporosis, all these other things that have to be managed as a person goes through the menopause process. Those are all things that need to be examined, managed, and appropriately treated by the medical care team. So that kind of goes back towards this more care team based approach, as opposed to this singular, siloed approach towards specialized care. I think patient reported outcome measures And that longitudinal measurement is incredibly important in this. So to be able to have individuals talk about their symptoms, and that's why I'm so excited by some of the companies that are here that really does allow for that tracking of symptoms and patients to be able to actually have data to bring to their doctors to show this is what I'm feeling, and it allows them to actually articulate clearly what that is. All that leads to, an increase in awareness and education. That all in turn leads towards increased research and funding, which helps to contribute to a more nuanced understanding of treating the individual, and then also to consider other risk factors to ensure that that person's health, is thought of in a more holistic approach.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you calling out the implications for disease states or conditions that sit beyond what we traditionally kind of think about in women's health, which is the fertility side of things or menopause. The impacts on cardiovascular health, the impacts on mental health, the impacts on so many other aspects that we just kind of get lumped in together, as with men and women and all of that. And really these differences do have a significant impact. The hormones changing and things like that have a significant impact on women's health, and it's just not very well understood. But hopefully, this heavy focus that we're seeing in fertility and perimenopause and menopause, like what we're seeing today and some of the work that you're doing, that insight can support understanding into some of these other areas of need as well. Can you talk a little bit about, your thoughts on how we can learn from this particular space into other areas like cardiovascular disease or mental health for women?
Yeah, one thing that we're especially, working on right now, grain fertility, and I think is pertinent to this conversation and to women's health in general, is the need for care coordination and improved access to information across different care settings. For, a long time, as I mentioned kind of earlier, health is often thought of as per specialty, where a specialist will only manage and treat the specific symptoms and disease that is in their in their training, while that's not the way that women's health or individuals' health works at all. There are multiple tie-ins to different diseases, to different systems in the human body, and these impacts are more complex than I think we realized for a long time. As we start to understand, the increases in risk factors that can contribute, in fertility, one of the things that we're starting to examine is what are the other risk factors that fertility treatment can have that can lead to preeclampsia, that can lead to high-risk pregnancies, that can lead to, other things that then contribute to other risk factors later in a woman's life. And how do we try to reduce those downstream impacts and provide more personalized care? So I think the same thing applies here. So if we can increase the interoperability of the information that's available, have standard longitudinal data sets that are available to be able to be tested, to be able to be examined and learn from, I think we really start to see how can we treat a woman's health through the entire reproductive health cycle, which includes menopause, to ensure that that is going through and that care coordination takes place. And, I'm hoping that we're starting to see this groundswell and shift in the ownership of this from just being at the care settings to including the patient as equal partner in that care. And I think the ownership of this data and the accessibility of information, which has never been greater, can help contribute to that and equalize. And I think a lot of the innovations we've seen today really do show that companies and people are working to develop these tools to help empower that, to be able to develop a better understanding that can lead towards improved diagnostics, therapeutics. How can we develop personalized medicine that really does treat that individual, and we're not just managing the symptoms, but we're actually trying to mitigate disease, decrease risk, and really improve holistic health for the individual.
Holistic health. I love it. I mean, it's so important. Well, one little shameless plug, Joe, for both of us. I know you're going to be speaking at the summit coming up in a couple of weeks. Do you just want to give a little preview of what you're going to be sharing and talking about?
Yeah, one of the things that's, my background is in policy. So I've lived outside DC for a really long time. And, one thing that I think is incredibly important is that empowerment and the advocacy perspective on this. So as we look towards the innovation the innovation lab and then the ability for us to be able to have a conversation is, how is the fertility space starting to evolve in this? How are we working to empower individual patients? But at large, what are some of these macro changes that are taking place in women's health, and how can we all kind of contribute to that? We've talked about some of the improvements that have come about data, investment, awareness, education, but really trying to continue to promote that. And, I think organizations like HITLAB and meetings like these are incredibly important to have stakeholders together and to have these conversations about how, this all impacts other diseases, this impacts other areas, and how do we have that more holistic approach to everything. So, I'm kind of looking forward to that conversation, but more importantly, having conversations with so many other people that are working to innovate, in the area of women's health, so that we can have these type of relationships that does promote that care coordination. And, I think the emphasis on partnerships that I've heard from the companies is a great thing to hear. I think we're starting to realize that we can all get further together, and by, having information that's only available in one place, it actually impedes good care for patients. And all this in turn leads towards better outcomes, which is really better business for everyone.
Yeah, and what, you brought it all full circle to the beginning when Ben was talking about partnerships, in the keynote. Like, it really is about that, and clearly you're very dedicated to that. The HIT Lab is, and all the folks at Versalie and the finalists here today are really all about how do we work better together to bring these solutions so that people can live better, healthier lives, and it just fuels more innovation in other areas. But thank you so much, Joe. Great conversation. I'm excited to meet with you in person in a couple of weeks at our Innovator Summit. And again, don't forget to go to register if you haven't already and get a 30% discount with the Versalie code word. But anyway, Joe, thank you so much. Great to talk with you. And as we go to our we're soon to be closing out with the announcement of our winners. But before we do that, we have our second and final audience giveaway, which is our trivia question. We're going to be pulling up the question on the screen, and the first person to enter the correct answer in the chat box will be contacted by the HITLAB team. What condition related to bone health becomes more common after menopause? Please submit your answers. And the drum roll to the correct answer is A, osteoporosis. So the winner will be contacted via Zoom by a HITLAB team member to help you get access to your $100 Amazon gift card. Thank you so much for your participation. And thank you to everybody for the amazing chat that's been going on. I never get to really get to pay full attention to that while I'm moderating, but I'm always so impressed with some of the things that I'm seeing. So really appreciate your active participation there. I believe now just one more shout out to our Innovators Summit coming up December 2nd and 4th in New York City in Times Square at the Microsoft Tech Center, which is a fantastic locale. If you haven't already registered, please do. It's a special offer for our meeting attendees today. Use the code Versalie in the promo code area for 30% off of any ticket of your choice. But we do hope to be able to see you to continue the conversation and talk to people like Joe. And so now we are at the most exciting point of the day, which is our award ceremony. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's been a part of today's session, and special shout out to Versalie, who has been a wonderful sponsor of this challenge. And what we're going to do first is share the Audience Choice Award winner. This winner will receive a 12-month Executive Breakthrough Alliance Fellowship valued at just under $1,000, and a HITLAB research study, publication, and promotion, which is valued at $25,000. And I know Kat had earlier showcased some of the research work that we've done in the past in the women's health space. So with that, we will be congratulating Prove, who is the winner of the Audience Choice Award. Amy, congratulations. That is really exciting, well deserved. You had stiff competition there, but really happy for you, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. The research is going to be so amazing. Like, we need so much research in this space. So my head is like spinning. Thank you.
Well, we're excited to work with you and continue all your great work. And moving on to our third place award, this winner will receive a check for $10,000 as a part of this award. And the winner is Prove. Amy, congratulations again. You are a huge winner today, and so happy for you, and look forward to the many wonderful things you're going to be doing and continuing to collaborate with you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it all, and congrats to the other winners.
Thank you so much. Okay, second place prize. This winner will receive a check for $15,000, and the winner is Tag, the Tag team. Congratulations, Tag team. Very happy for you. Thank you for participating, and congratulations on this award, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Really happy and honored to be included, and congrats to the other winners as well.
Fantastic. And for our first place prize, I guess we know who that is. The check for $25,000 is the Pause Tech. Amazing team. Thank you so much. Fantastic presentation. I'm so happy for this award to you all, and congratulations.
Thank you, Amy, and to the judges, and Versalie, and to HITLAB, and we're just so humbled and grateful. And I already have a meeting set up with Amy next week, and also the Tag team. I would love to connect with you ladies. And this award is really and truly for all of the women navigating perimenopause and menopause. And thank you to our brilliant team of engineers and all of the people who make the pause run. We're just so grateful. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And while this ends the awards piece of this session, this is just the beginning for so many wonderful things for all of our finalists today, all the judges involved, and this audience. So it's a great way to network, and congrats to all of our finalists, to the awardees, and looking forward to all the great things that you're going to do to help women as well as their families moving forward. So thank you all. I'd also like to give a shout out to our Innovation Challenge screening judges. We had quite a few of them. Too many to mention by name, but it was a community of very, very passionate, dedicated innovators looking at many submissions that we received and to vet through. I know it was not an easy task, but we did get to an amazing final 3 that we saw today. I'd like to close out with just another highlight to please invite anyone who has not already registered for our HITLAB Innovators Summit, December 2nd through the 4th in New York City in Times Square at the Microsoft Tech Center. Please, we have a special offer for you today for the attendees of this meeting for 30% off of any ticket that you might have, that you might choose. We would love to join and meet with you at the event and sit down and chat. And I think the programming is going to have a lot of value for you. So please think about that if you haven't already. And then, just to close out today, really appreciate this audience, your engagement in the chat, and the little hearts and the hands that were going out. It's really inspiring, and it's nice to see so many engaged folks. This is an opportunity to continue to engage in this community. And I want to, just express a heartfelt thanks to all of you, to all of our judges, and to the Versalie team, who's been fantastic. And again, congratulations to our finalists and our winners. You've all been incredible. Your innovative ideas and dedication are truly inspiring, and we're grateful to all the energy and creativity involved. Thank you all for your time, your engagement, and again, this is just the beginning. So stay connected, reach out on LinkedIn with each other, with us. We are here to help. And again, I'm Amy West with the HITLAB Advisory Services. If you're interested to learn more, please reach out. I also chair our Women's Health Tech Initiative. Very involved in this event today. So we're always looking for more people to get involved and engaged. So thank you all for your support, engagement, and have a wonderful rest of your day.